Working for a rude boss is one of the most challenging experiences an employee can endure. A rude boss exhibits behaviors that are consistently disrespectful, dismissive, and often harmful. These actions can take many forms, including verbal degradation, where the boss speaks harshly, insults, belittles, or criticizes employees, either privately or in front of others. Such words are not merely unpleasant. They undermine confidence, create anxiety, and erode morale. Another common behavior is interrupting or talking over others, effectively silencing employees and dismissing their input. This habit communicates that their ideas are unimportant, that their contributions are invisible, and that the boss controls every conversation. Unreasonable demands also define the rude boss. Impossible deadlines, excessive workloads, or tasks without guidance or support are handed down with little regard for human limitations. This constant pressure creates an environment of stress and fear, leaving employees feeling trapped and powerless. Rude bosses often micromanage or undermine the work of their employees, questioning every decision, taking control of tasks unnecessarily, and communicating doubt in a way that erodes trust. Their lack of appreciation or acknowledgement compounds the problem, as achievements go unnoticed while mistakes are magnified. Favoritism and bias are also prevalent, with certain employees rewarded unfairly while others are ignored or punished without cause. A rude boss may avoid communication entirely, refusing to answer questions, ignoring messages, or being unapproachable. Threatening or intimidating behavior, whether through anger, fear, or manipulation, further establishes a toxic environment. In essence, all these behaviors share a single root cause: disrespect. The traditional advice offered in the workplace is often to report such behavior to human resources. However, experience shows that this path is frequently ineffective. Management often protects other managers, and HR departments are no exception. Reporting a rude boss may inadvertently expose the employee to retaliation or even force them to resign. While this approach is widely recommended, it often leaves employees feeling abandoned and powerless. There is, however, another way, one that does not rely on HR or workplace politics. This approach is based on the principles of universal justice, a system that operates on the law that what you plant, you must harvest in abundance. This law is impartial and inevitable. Understanding this system begins with recognizing the true nature of the self. While we identify with our physical body, the reality is that we are primarily energy, thought energy, residing within the pineal gland. Our physical body, shaped from the elements of the earth and crafted by God over time, represents God's creation. The image we see in the mirror is not entirely ourselves. It is the image of God reflected through our physical form. When a rude boss disrespects us, they are, in essence, disrespecting the divine work of God. This realization is fundamental because it frames the abuse not as a personal slight alone, but as a violation of a higher spiritual law. The actions of a rude boss, harsh words, intimidation, or degrading treatment do not disappear. According to the universal justice system, these actions are seeds that must return to the planter in multiplied form. The boss's disrespect, arrogance, and abuse cannot continue indefinitely without consequence. Universal law ensures that every harmful action will eventually come back to the one who initiated it. This is the core of the justice system I teach. It operates privately, without anyone else needing to intervene, and it is both fair and inevitable. The boss may continue to act cruelly, treating their family, colleagues, or employees in the same manner. Human systems may never force them to change. Yet, By applying the principles of universal justice, this cycle can be disrupted. Practical application of this principle is straightforward but profound. The first step is awareness, recognizing the nature of the disrespect and understanding its spiritual implications. Next, the employee must engage in the advice package, a tool I provide that guides individuals through the steps of projecting the actions of the rude boss back to them, according to universal justice. The process is simple and can take as little as 5 minutes. It equips the individual to handle not only the current situation but any future acts of harm or disrespect, protecting them spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. By following this approach, the employee reclaims power without confrontation, without relying on HR, and without engaging in workplace politics. The rude boss continues their behavior, but their actions are returned and multiplied by the universal law. Over time, this ensures that justice is served and that the employee is no longer the victim of repeated disrespect. Through this process, the employee transitions from powerless to empowered, no longer subjected to the toxicity of the workplace. The actions of the boss cannot harm someone who has aligned themselves with universal justice, because the law protects and restores balance. It is an elegant, invisible system that works for those who understand it and act in accordance with it. In conclusion, dealing with a rude boss is not about confrontation, HR complaints, or resignation. It is about understanding the deeper spiritual law that governs actions and consequences. Disrespect, verbal abuse, micromanagement, favoritism, intimidation, and neglect are all seeds that the universe records and returns in abundance. By applying the principles of universal justice and utilizing tools like the advice package, employees can reclaim authority over their energy, protect themselves from harm, and ensure that the consequences of rude behavior return to their source. In this way, a toxic work environment is no longer a source of fear or suffering, but an opportunity for spiritual justice and personal empowerment. Like and subscribe to the channel where you will find the link that will open your world. Good luck. It is critical that you get the advice package. It is worth it.